Welcome to your personalized deep dive. You gave us a really fascinating set of sources this time, articles and videos and even social media posts, all about AI, and all from just 2 days back in 2025, March 16th and 17th to be exact. It's kind of like a snapshot of what was happening in the AI world right then. So our mission is to figure out what you should take away from all of it. Like, what was genuinely innovative back then, what trends were just starting to emerge, and what big questions it all raised.
It's amazing how much the landscape can shift, even in just 48 hours in the world of AI, right?
Exactly. And I think the first thing that really jumps out from these sources is this surge in AI agents.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like we're moving past just like chatbots and these large language models and getting into AI that can actually do things in the real world.
Yeah, and what's interesting is it's not just one breakthrough, right? It's like this convergence of technologies. You've got these LLMs. Everyone's talking about the large language models becoming incredibly sophisticated at understanding and generating language. But now they're being combined with speech language models too, SLMs, which take that understanding to a whole new level of natural interaction.
Yeah. And that's leading to some pretty mind-blowing applications. Like there's this Manus AI launch from a Chinese company that everyone's buzzing about.
Oh, yeah.
Business Insider even called it potentially the next DeepSeek moment.
I saw that. The thing about Manus that has people so excited is that it's being touted as fully autonomous, right? It's not just responding to prompts. It's supposed to be able to learn and adapt to new situations, even make decisions without human input.
Wow.
If it can deliver on even half of what they're claiming, it could change the game entirely.
It's kind of hard to even imagine. Like, imagine a world where AI isn't just assisting us, but is actively managing tasks and projects, potentially even leading entire operations.
Yeah.
And it's not just these specialized AI companies jumping on this. Even Zoom, the video conferencing platform, they're getting in on the action with AI Companion 2.0.
Right. And according to VentureBeat, Zoom's CTO is really emphasizing this fusion of LLMs and SLMs as the driver behind these new features. It's not just about automating those really basic tasks like calendar scheduling or document creation. It's about creating an AI companion that interacts with you in a way that feels more natural and intuitive.
It's almost like having a super efficient assistant who's always there and always on top of things, which I got to say sounds pretty appealing some days. But there's also this whole open source movement happening alongside these big companies, right? Like you sent over this video from the World of AI YouTube channel about a platform called Automate.
Oh, yeah, Automate. It's essentially an open source alternative to Manus, allowing AI agents to control your computer. It's being used for everything from automating those tedious work tasks to managing smart home systems. It's a great example of how the open source community is making AI more accessible and customizable. It allows developers and even everyday users to experiment with building and deploying their own AI solutions.
And that's something we see across a lot of these sources, right? This push towards making AI tools more readily available. But as AI gets more advanced and accessible, it seems like the competition is heating up too, especially between the big players. It's almost like watching a global AI chess match unfold. Like OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, seems to be feeling the pressure.
Yeah, it's fascinating how OpenAI is reacting to the rise of competitors like DeepSeek. TechCrunch reported that they've actually gone so far as to propose banning Chinese AI models to the U.S. government, labeling DeepSeek as state-controlled.
Wow. But at the same time, OpenAI is making their own moves to stay ahead, right? Like both Ars Technica and Futurism had articles about their argument that they need to be able to scrape copyrighted materials from the internet to effectively train their models and keep up with the competition. It's like they're playing both offense and defense at the same time.
It really highlights the complexities of AI development, right? And raises all sorts of questions.
Yeah.
Like, where do we draw the line when it comes to intellectual property rights in the age of AI? How do we balance the need for innovation with concerns about potential misuse of copyrighted material? It's a real tightrope walk.
It definitely is. And speaking of navigating this complex landscape, it's clear from these sources that the AI world isn't just a two-horse race between the U.S. and China anymore.
Right.
In his interview on the Lex Fridman podcast, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had this to say: "No matter what the world does with AI, it will remain incomplete without India." You even sent over some clips from AIM TV YouTube channels buzzing about it.
Yeah, Modi's statement is a clear signal of India's ambition to become a major force in AI, right? They have a huge pool of tech talent, a rapidly growing tech sector, and a government that seems committed to fostering AI innovation.
So it's not just about competition, it's also about different regions bringing their unique perspectives and strengths to the table. It makes you wonder, what will AI look like when it's shaped by the values and priorities of different cultures and societies?
That's a great question. It's not just about who builds the most powerful AI. It's about how different cultures will integrate AI into their lives and what impact that will have on the world.
It's a lot to unpack, and we're just getting started. This rapid evolution of AI isn't just happening in research labs anymore. It's making its way into the real world in some pretty interesting ways. But before we dive into that, I'd love to hear what's standing out to you so far. What's grabbed your attention the most from this initial look at the AI landscape in early 2025?
Yeah, it is fascinating to see how these AI trends were playing out on a global scale back then. We've talked about India's ambitions, but China was clearly making some serious moves too.
For sure. Those sources paint a really interesting picture of how different countries were approaching AI. The emergence of models like Manus and DeepSeek really showed how rapidly AI innovation was accelerating in China.
Hmm.
It wasn't just about trying to catch up with the West. It felt like they were pushing the boundaries in entirely new directions.
Yeah, and that was definitely sparking some intense competition, especially with OpenAI calling for those bans on Chinese models. It was a pretty clear sign of the growing tension between these AI powerhouses.
It did feel a bit like a global AI arms race was brewing, didn't it?
In a way, yes, but I think it's important to remember that this race didn't have to be a zero-sum game. Collaboration and knowledge sharing are also essential for making sure that AI benefits everyone.
Oh, absolutely. The more we can encourage international cooperation in AI research and development, the better equipped we'll be to tackle those big global challenges that AI can help solve.
Speaking of global challenges, there was a lot of discussion back then about the potential impact of AI on the job market. Some experts were predicting widespread job displacement, while others were more optimistic about AI's ability to create new jobs and augment existing ones.
Yeah, that was a hot topic in a lot of the sources we looked at. Several articles, like the one from ZDNet, suggested that while some jobs would inevitably be automated, AI would also create opportunities for new roles and skill sets.
What everyone seemed to agree on was that we needed to prepare for these shifts by investing in education and training programs, right? The goal being to equip people with the skills they need to thrive in a world where AI is increasingly integrated into the workforce.
Makes sense. We need to focus on developing what some were calling AI-ready workforces, emphasizing skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity, the things that AI can't easily replicate.
Right. It's not just about replacing jobs, it's about redefining them and creating new possibilities. And remember, the impact of AI goes way beyond the job market. It has the potential to transform pretty much every aspect of our lives, from healthcare and education to transportation and beyond.
We saw examples of that everywhere, right? AI was being used to develop personalized learning experiences, improve medical diagnosis and treatment, and even create safer and more efficient transportation systems.
The potential benefits were and still are vast, but so are the potential risks. It's important to be mindful of the ethical implications of AI and work to ensure that it's developed and used responsibly.
That's where things get really interesting and potentially tricky. Some of these sources, like this piece from Gradient Flow about AI slop, reminded us that AI isn't perfect. It can make mistakes, produce biased results, and even be used for purposes we might not intend.
Yeah, it's a crucial point. We need to be having open and honest conversations about the potential downsides of AI. Developing robust ethical guidelines, promoting transparency and accountability in AI development, and ensuring that AI systems are aligned with human values are all vital.
We can't just blindly assume that AI will automatically be a force for good. We need to be actively involved in shaping its development and deployment to make sure it benefits all of humanity.
And that requires engaging with a wide range of perspectives, from technologists and ethicists to policymakers and everyday citizens.
It's like we need a multidisciplinary approach to AI governance, one that takes into account the technical, ethical, and societal implications of this incredibly powerful technology.
Absolutely. AI is too powerful and too pervasive to be left solely in the hands of technologists. We need a collective effort to steer it in a direction that benefits everyone.
Speaking of steering AI, let's talk about some of the major players in this space. OpenAI,
Yeah.
DeepSeek, Google, Microsoft. These were just a few of the companies shaping the future of AI back then.
These tech giants were pouring massive resources into AI research and development, And their innovations were driving a lot of the progress we were seeing.
But it wasn't just the big players, right? There were tons of startups and smaller companies also contributing to the AI ecosystem.
Exactly. That diversity of actors is crucial for fostering innovation and competition. And it's also important to have a balance of public and private sector involvement in AI development.
Right. Governments have a key role to play in supporting AI research, establishing those ethical guidelines we talked about, and ensuring that AI benefits society as a whole.
And let's not forget the role of academia. Universities and research institutions are often at the forefront of AI innovation. Their work is essential for pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's clear that even back in early 2025, the AI landscape was incredibly dynamic. New players, technologies, and applications were emerging all the time.
Yeah, it could be a bit overwhelming to keep up with the rapid pace of change, but it was also incredibly exciting.
I agree. The potential of AI is enormous, and we were only just beginning to explore its possibilities. But as we ventured into this uncharted territory, it was, and still is crucial, that we proceed thoughtfully and responsibly. AI needs to benefit all of humanity, not just a select few.
It's a responsibility we all share, and the more informed and engaged we are, the better equipped we'll be to shape the future of AI in a positive way.
So as we continue this deep dive into the world of AI, I want to encourage you to think critically about the information we're exploring. What's resonating with you the most? What questions are popping into your head?
Your thoughts and reactions are important. AI isn't just a technology, it's a societal transformation. We need everyone's input to make sure that this transformation is a positive one.
Let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed so far, and then we'll wrap up with the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some of the big questions and challenges that AI raises for the future. Okay, so we've covered so much ground already, from those super powerful AI agents to that global race for AI dominance.
Yeah.
And it's clear that AI was rapidly changing the world even back in 2025. But what did it all mean for the future, right? What were some of those big existential questions that people were grappling with?
Well, one question that always seemed to capture the imagination back then was the idea of a technological singularity. You know, that point where AI surpasses human intelligence, right? And potentially reshapes the entire trajectory of civilization.
Yeah, it's kind of the stuff of science fiction, but a lot of those sources, especially the tech-focused ones like VentureBeat, seem to suggest that artificial general intelligence, or AGI, might not be that far off.
It was definitely a hot topic. While AGI remained a hypothetical concept, we were seeing AI systems becoming increasingly sophisticated. AI was starting to learn and adapt and even reason in ways that were once thought to be exclusive to humans.
But did that really mean that machines were about to take over the world like some people feared?
Not necessarily. It's important to remember that intelligence and consciousness are not the same thing. Just because an AI can outperform humans in certain tasks like playing chess or analyzing data doesn't mean it's self-aware or has the capacity for emotions, desires, and subjective experiences like we do.
So maybe the singularity wasn't imminent, but it was still super important to consider the long-term implications of AI, even if it didn't suddenly become super intelligent.
Absolutely. Even without AGI, AI was already having a huge impact on our lives, and that impact was only going to grow. We needed and still need to be proactive in shaping the future of AI, making sure that it aligns with our values and goals as a society.
Which brings up another really important question. How do we actually govern AI in a way that maximizes its benefits while minimizing the risks? It felt like a really tough challenge back then.
It was, and in many ways it still is. AI was developing so quickly that it was hard for regulations and ethical frameworks to keep pace. We were starting to see different approaches emerge around the world, though. Some countries, like the US, were leaning towards a more hands-off approach, while others, like the EU, were pushing for stricter regulations.
So there was no easy answer, but everyone seemed to agree that we needed a global conversation about AI governance. It was essential to find a balance, a way to foster innovation while also safeguarding against potential harms.
Yeah, and that conversation needed to include everyone, governments, corporations, researchers, and everyday citizens. AI wasn't just a technological issue, it was a societal one.
Another big challenge that kept coming up in those sources was the issue of bias in AI systems. We saw examples of AI models that were perpetuating existing social biases, sometimes leading to really unfair or harmful outcomes.
Yeah, bias in AI can creep in from various sources: biased training data, flawed algorithms, or even the unconscious biases of the people who develop these systems.
So how do we address this? How do we make sure that AI is fair, and equitable?
It requires a multi-pronged approach, right? We need to prioritize diversity and inclusivity in the AI workforce. We need to develop tools and techniques for identifying and mitigating bias in algorithms and data sets. And we need to hold AI systems accountable for their outputs, making sure that they're not perpetuating harmful stereotypes or discrimination.
It's a complex issue, but it's absolutely essential to address if we want AI to be a force for good in the world. As we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to emphasize that the future of AI isn't predetermined. It's something we're actively shaping with every choice we make.
That's a great point. The decisions we make today about how we develop, regulate, and use AI will have a huge impact on the world of tomorrow.
It's both exciting and daunting, right? We have this incredibly powerful tool at our disposal, and it's up to us to use it wisely. So as we conclude, I want to leave you with one final thought. What role do you want to play in shaping the future of AI?
Think about it. How can you ensure that AI is used to create a more just, equitable, and beneficial world for everyone? We hope this deep dive has given you the insights and information you need to participate in this crucial conversation.
That's a wrap on our journey back to the AI landscape of March 2025. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the ever-evolving world of AI.